And you're still live on your election headquarters on Joy 99.7 FM, also live on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. This is a special program building up to tomorrow's vote. And as we know today, sad incident, 2 people already dead even before we cast our first ballot. And that's why the IGP has been addressing the press today, laying out the security arrangements. Already, as you've heard, the MPP is leveling allegations against the police about deployment of heavy weapons, irregular, they claim, which they again emphasize and allege is a tactic to intimidate. My colleague, Jifa Bump, of course, who also heads the security desk, just returned from that briefing, joins us now. Jeff, so what's the plan for tomorrow?
All right, so deployments have already begun. The police are deploying almost more than 10,000 officers to the various polling stations. You know, there are some 80-something hotspots, so there'll be more officers in these hotspots as opposed to regular, constituencies where really there isn't any potential violence or any potential worrisome actions happening there. But today's activity was to interact with editors. All the security chiefs were there, led by the Interior Minister, Prosper Bani. So Mr. Bani spoke, but ultimately the IGP sought to reiterate certain things. He talked about the fact that he's cautiously optimistic because 24 hours to elections obviously is potentially dangerous. I think he was seeking to point to something that we say in local parlance, last days are dangerous. Yeah. So he sought to say that, well, for him, everything is set, everything is calm. However, 24 hours before elections, yes, there could be some issues that emerged, but he assured that the security agencies are on top of it all. They will not tolerate any acts of hooliganism or any acts of violence or any attempt to disrupt the electoral process. So as far as he's concerned, they've done everything they need to do to keep everything in check. He talked about the deployments and the fact that the officers are on the ground and that they are making sure that everything is followed through to the end. So he's confident, but I sense a certain cautious optimism from him.
Of course, and we can listen to the man in his own words, the IGP speaking at this press briefing today.
During is very short, but it's the most turbulent and robust period. It's less than 24 hours, but it's the most turbulent and most dangerous of all the periods. And I, as the man in charge of the security of this country, just want to once again appeal to our compatriots, that's fellow Ghanaians, that we should all go and use the term. All governments have been changed, whoever incumbent, none of them was changed by the sword or by violence. They're all by the power of the tongue since we gained our democracy. An election is nothing but all about democracy. So if you can vote, there's no reason why you say your colleague cannot vote or your fellow citizen cannot vote who has the same and equal rights like you. So far as his name is on the register, he's gone through the process and procedure, and everything is found to be genuine. There's no way that anybody can stop anybody legally to vote. Any other act will be what we call unlawful and illegal act. So I'll plead that the doing, everybody should just exercise his franchise and his responsibility as a Ghanaian. Once again, you go vote, leave the arena for other people who have not voted to be able to enter into it and also cast their votes. When it's time for correction or tabulation, you can come, but don't stay there to disturb others from not voting. We as a security force have been beefed up by our colleagues, and we are not going to countenance any form of disturbance or hooliganism. We are not going to look at colors, race or creed. We are going to treat all Ghanaians equally before the law. Anybody who trespasses and we are able to grab, we are going to deal with as the details of our own laws and regulations demand. So nobody should think that is above the law on that occasion. We are not going to look at that. We are going to try to be as apolitical as possible, very neutral, very professional, impartial. So once again, I entreat all Ghanaians to be law-abiding, very responsible, and allow others to vote as they wish that they are also allowed to vote.
So that's the IGP there, of course, giving assurance that they are ready for tomorrow, but obviously leaving room for, any eventuality. The Interior Minister was also at this press conference, of course. I mean, the police administration, etc., in terms of the hierarchy, sits at the top. What's his own assessment of the day going in?
The Interior Minister is optimistic that everything is going to go smoothly. He also reassured that the security agencies are on top of the issues. In the light of the recent events, yesterday there was clashes at Odududu in the afternoon, and then overnight the fighting in Tripoli that led to the 2 deaths and 14 injured. He indicated that these are just isolated incidents and should not be blown out of proportion, because there are 29,000 polling stations, 275 constituencies. So it's inevitable that there will be some misunderstandings that will lead to these kinds of issues. But for him, he feels that everything is calm. He believes that the security agencies are on top of the issues. There are lots of local and international observers keeping an eagle eye on the process. And as far as he's concerned, once the election goes through, everything will be smooth. The results will be declared, and he hopes that it will be as in 2012, as in 20, yes.
Thank you, Jufa. And quickly, just to recap before we wrap up on this, we just joined us. Several headline news to follow today, and we're going to follow through and give you more on this. The EC has announced that in conjunction with the police has imposed of course, they're not going to allow the use of motorbikes between 5 p.m. tomorrow and 6 a.m. on Thursday morning. That's one of the key things to follow. Also, shortly, they've also announced that you cannot go to the polling center with a bag, with a pad, with a mobile phone, with food or drinks. They will stop you because of, obviously, fears that you might use that of course. We've also heard the allegations from the NPP regarding, what the police, they claim is using intimidatory tactics, but also printing of ID cards. That we've had the reaction from the NDC already debunking that. I want to say to you quickly that Israel Lai is taking over for me right now with News Prime, with more on all these unfolding, developing story here on your election headquarters. And Malik, tomorrow is a lot going to happen. Are we ready? Are we ready to bring our listeners the very best? Very brief.
Of course, we have proven this, even covering the rallies and the early voting, first and second early voting and all of that. I believe that this is your election headquarters. We are not just saying it, we deliver. And
you are ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I love live events, and I'm looking forward to sleepless nights for 3 days.
Oh, I'm going to share 3 nights in the office with Jufa and everybody else.
All over. So the whole team is fired up, not just us.
Thank you, Jufa, with that. And Israel is taking over right now with Prime. Continuing with our live coverage, special programming, building up to tomorrow.